Public transit has a perception problem.
After COVID, ridership dropped, public trust shifted, and transit agencies across the country started asking a bigger question. How do we make people actually want to come back?
In the Bay Area Rapid Transit, better known as BART, is testing a surprising answer: joy.
Comedy shows on trains.
Silent discos in stations.
Community events designed to turn transit from just a commute into an experience.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a City Hall veteran, community whisperer, and urban tech advisor.
And I'm Warren, an urban planner, hyper-policy wonk, and government bureaucracy disruptor.
And this is City People, where planning, policy, community, and culture collide.
Today on City People, we go inside BART headquarters with Chief of Communications, Alicia Trost, to learn how one of America's most recognizable transit systems is using creativity, culture, and storytelling to rebuild ridership and public goodwill.
Then later, we leave the studio and hop aboard on an actual comedy show happening on a moving train.
Because the future of transit might not just be about getting people from point A to point B.
It might be about making the ride itself worth remembering.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, where are we?
We're at BART's headquarters.
Weird, but we're like in this weird media room with a green screen and cameras everywhere. Like, what's going on?
This is a professional setup because we have a professional here in communications, and we're joined by Alicia.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Welcome to BART headquarters.
And welcome to City People.
Yeah.
This is wild. This is a professional setup.
Yeah.
With our adorable iPhone. But before we dive into your work professionally, we ask everybody the same question. Are you a city person?
I am absolutely a city person, or at least a walkable community person.
Okay.
I love cities. When you grow up in the Bay Area, you are part of the city, and it becomes part of who you are. Mm-hmm. You just can't avoid that, and I love that. In my early 20s, I lived between Oakland and San Francisco, so the best of the East Bay and the best of the city, and that really shaped who I am today. And now that I have kids, we've moved a little bit further out, but I take the train in. We take the ferry everywhere. I've taught my kids how to ride transit. I've taught my kids how to enjoy the city, how to be in the city safely, how to go explore. When my husband and I want to go on a date night, we are not in the burbs. We want to be in the excitement.
Right.
When we plan vacations, I want to go to other cities. Yeah, I like to get quiet time and peace time in the mountains, but to me, having fun is being part of the excitement.
That's amazing. I want to transition us slightly into what you do for BART. I know you professionally. We've worked together quite a bit, and I am forever in awe of all of the different things you are responsible for. So if you could share with our listeners and our viewers what it is that you do here.
I am the Chief Communications Officer at BART. I've been here 14 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it's everything you can think of when it comes to communications. It's social media, media relations, our website, doing the videos, activating our stations with fun events, trying to improve passenger communication. I'm not in charge of all of that, but I can help. I can give guidance. When you go into the station and on the train, sometimes you see a poster and it's from BART, and hopefully it's witty and it catches your attention. That's my team as well. We also do a lot of customer experience things, trying to improve the platform digital screens and everything that I think are wrong with them, trying to improve that, trying to make it so the moment you enter the station, it's easy for you to know which way to go. Long tradition that type of work wouldn't be part of communications, but I've sort of inserted myself into those
After 14
conversations.
years.
Yes, because you learn a lot as you go, and you study other transit systems, and you listen to your riders, and you listen to enthusiasts, and they'll tell you, other systems do it this way. Why does BART do it that way? And you start to actually question, why do we do it that way?
Why is that?
And so anything you can think of when it comes to communication, including, executive comms and trying to also help our other executive leaders, be good at communicating.
That is an ocean's worth of work. Distilling that down, it sounds like you are responsible for BART's voice in all of its different standpoints. Again, social media, print media. But I heard you say something that is really going to be the thrust of our conversation today, which is the programming on BART trains. And for our listeners, I think for a lot of folks, whether you ride BART, whether you ride LA Metro or any other metro system in the country or the world, I think that might come as a surprise for that to be part of your operations. And I'd love for you to kind of share with us, first, what kinds of programs are we talking about? And then we'll dive into what that means for the transit system.
Yeah, this is definitely a strategic program, but also a passion project, right? I have plenty to do in my workday.
Yeah, that's clear.
You're kind of busy.
But I saw this opportunity to really connect with the Bay Area and our writers and potential writers, and in a way that is extremely engaging and talking to so many different communities and then bringing them together, which is very, very special. And so what we're talking about isn't just always on the train, it's at our stations. It's literally bringing people together, because coming out of the pandemic, we sort of forgot how to do that. And we began to crave going out.
Yeah.
I also at the same time was really listening to people. I heard that folks weren't drinking alcohol. I heard that folks wanted to meet people without being on dating apps.
That's for sure.
And that they didn't necessarily want to just find a love interest. They actually wanted to find friends. And so why not create these opportunities where we bring like-minded people together that sort of have the same passions, but they might be too shy or they don't know, like they just have to take that first little leap. So let's create something special for them. And it really started with, we were retiring our legacy fleet, like the iconic BART cars that served the region for 50 years. And literally no one was going to do anything about it. It was going to be, they're done and we're so excited about the new trains. And I saw this opportunity like, no, we need to have a whole event where you come and ride for the last time. And we'll have people come to the station, the last ride. We'll bring in like fun things to do at the MacArthur Station Plaza while you wait. And then you get in line to ride. And we want you to pay for your trip. So again, at the end of the day, it's a ridership increasing strategy. And what we saw on that day, 4,000 people showed up. And it was all ages and families came together. There was so many older adults who wanted to come experience. I rode the first day and I rode the last day. And then there were generational groups together, like the entire family, like from the toddler to grandma and grandpa, proud to be there, fine waiting in line to ride. And when you think about what we know about BART, we're going to have to go to the ballot. We have to get people to invest in transit. And you start thinking about who votes. And so what demographic really votes? So I saw this opportunity there to create programming that it's safe for older adults to come to, as well as get younger people and get them to start to learn how to ride transit in a safe and friendly way.
The 8 to 80 strategy
8 to
that a lot
80.
of folks in
I love it.
transportation talk about.
Yeah.
Give us just a quick fire of the different kinds of events that that you might see on BART. And I know we're going to see one today. in fact.
So we started a book club, and one of the books we
Didn't know
you
about
can
that.
actually come in, and we'd invite the authors, and they would do talks on the train. And the last book we had selected was about all of the great wildlife and the ecology in the Bay Area. And so we had asked the author and the illustrator, like location specific to BART. And so we had bird watching on BART. And again, so this is
bird
this was
watching
very
on
much the demographic of the older adults. They loved it. So bird watching, and then nature hikes where it was guided by professionals. They were all sold out. And then fun things like speed dating on BART.
Oh, we saw this.
Yes.
Valentrain.
Valentrain.
Yeah.
We did an anime festival where we brought in K-pop DJs and anime artists and did an artist alley. 4,000 people came to that event. And so we took over.
These are bangers.
We took over the Concord parking lot and turned it into an outdoor movie theater.
Oh my gosh.
Very special though, with like really cute seating and turf and really fun face painting and tattoos and fun locally made candy, getting in vendors to come and connect with our writers. And then we showed the BART line-to-line video. That's where we stuck a GoPro to the cab of the train and shows the line sped up. So we showed, that was like the intro movie.
Really cool.
And what was super special is when the yellow line train went through Concord, the entire attendees, they all cheered. And I wasn't expecting that because it was so much pride for their hometown, Concord.
Right.
And then we played Madagascar,
which
I selected because it's a
movie.
family-friendly movie with train scenes, right?
Of course.
Yes.
And that was really fun because there's so many great lines that even the parents have memorized because we've been forced to watch it so many times with the children. And everyone was like talking out loud. Like they were doing the lines out loud
Yeah.
because in a movie theater, you're not allowed to do that, but at an event like this.
It's like a drive-in.
Yes.
I grew up with
Right.
drive-ins. Yeah.
And so some of these events have been free
Okay.
because we wanted to see like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
You have to pay for the ride, of course. Again, this goes to the strategy of like training people how to pay for
Right.
BART.
Yeah.
And encouraging people to pay for BART and
Yeah.
ride BART. But there was no ticket fee. And then we've started to entertain, well, what if we charged a little bit to help cover costs? And so that's been working for us. We're still selling out events. So our comedy train, we charge.
That's what we're doing
yes,
today.
We
It's sold
charged for
out.
that,
Yeah.
and it's sold out. We charged for the movie. We charged for, we had a soundtracks music festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
How cool. We took over a parking lot and had several bands, and it was in partnership with SF Jazz. And then we had
wild.
mocktails. So again, leaning into this, people don't always want to drink, and so have them something special. They were all BART themed, of course, mocktails, and that was like my favorite part of that event. Of course, the music was great,
Yeah.
and seeing all the families jamming out, but the mocktails were pretty special.
It's kind of incredible what you guys are doing because you're essentially creating memories that are different experiences on a train that people
Right.
don't typically have, or rail that people typically don't have. We're thinking
Right.
about going from point A to B, the slog of commute, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And as opposed to this being from point A to B transportation, it's that this is the destination.
Right.
And I'm curious, like, a little bit more of the strategy as to like, why is it important for us to create these new and different kind of memories with transit? And how does that sort of lend to the larger strategy that you're talking about?
So think about when you attend a great event, what are you constantly doing? Everything is about the gram now, right?
Yeah.
If you don't
Everything
take
is content.
that amazing, right, if you don't create that content, you didn't go. So we're creating these backdrops that show a very clean and very safe system.
Wow.
And so how powerful of organic content is that when all of these
It's a
people
multiplier.
are... Today I went on BART's Halloween train. We had a train that we brought in a woman-owned business, local. She's based out of Hayward. She decorated the entire inside of a train.
Oh my gosh.
And each
Like a haunted
car,
house kind of?
yes, and each car got spookier and spookier.
That's
and so
That is
sick.
so
and the
cool.
kids were encouraged to wear their
Costumes.
costumes. So imagine all those photos, and the BART car is extremely clean, happy families. We often go to the movies and we see horrific scenes.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how and why New York and WMATA allow these scenes to be filmed of people getting pushed in front of trains.
Yeah.
Right.
And or
House of
people
Cards.
Scary
killed-
scenes, yeah.
killed on trains. And that's exactly what I
Yeah,
was
I
talking
know,
about, the
yeah.
House of
It's a
Cards.
good
I literally,
episode.
when I saw that, I'm like, why would they ever allow that? I mean,
Yeah.
I know we want the money and we want to be on Netflix,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure we want that on the scene. So we want to reshape that narrative, redefine what it means to take BART and being part of the culture. This is really like a culture-driven strategy that is also meant to take over social media accounts.
Well, culture is right up our alley,
Yeah.
right? Like we're trying to figure out what is the gap between culture, our infrastructure, policy, and education. And you're doing all of that in this bit, right? But you're saying it's a passion project.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm curious, like, how did the mechanics a little bit of like how this came to
Yeah.
be? You were like, you know what? I want to do a speed dating.
Yeah.
It'd be
Train,
crazy.
yes.
What if we-
Executives,
yeah.
you know?
Oh, you should have, when they heard that idea, they were slightly terrified.
Sure.
The police were like, we would like to state for the record, we are very nervous about this
no.
event. Yes.
We are stating for the record.
So it all started with that Legacy Train event, me seeing the 4,000 people show up.
Yeah.
And I got and then the next event came to me while I was brushing my teeth, literally. That's where like I think women do a lot of our thinking, washing our hair, doing our makeup, curling our hair, brushing our teeth. It dawned on me, we have these very famous holiday sweaters that have sold out. And after, I think it
would
was
like
the
one.
second or third year, we had sold, I think at that moment, around 4,000 sweaters. And it dawned on me, I'm like, wait, like 4,000 people in the Bay Area have these sweaters.
And they sold out, to be clear.
What if we had an event where you wear your sweater
Wear the
for an
sweater.
epic group photo,
Yeah.
again, for social media, and then we also have all these fun activities. And that is how Sweater Fest was born. So that was the second successful event.
For listeners who are not in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
this is a big deal. Like Sweater
It's
Fest
exclusive.
for-
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it has prompted other other agencies to create their own ugly sweaters.
Completely
It's a
copied us.
big deal.
Yeah. And Sweaterfest even.
Yeah,
And they call it Sweaterfest.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. You can take our idea.
body
It's kind
clear.
of like SantaCon, which take
God.
these sort of viral things that grow very organically, or the BART Art Basel, the BART Basel, I think it's called.
BART?
Yeah, which is not sponsored by BART.
Yeah.
I mean, they
did their
do
own
it,
thing.
and it's very popular. So like, well, we should just take control of this ourselves. So after the
Totally.
2 successful events, literally, I got my team around the table, and I'm like, let's just brainstorm
Yeah.
every wild thing you can
throw it
think
at the
of.
wall.
Yeah.
And we had done this really wonderful series, BART Connects, that are about real people with real BART stories. We're actually soliciting stories right now on our website.
Beautiful.
We're tell us your story about BART, and maybe you'll be on a train car. We're going to feature you. We want to
Love
feature
it.
real people taking trains.
Yeah.
And one of the young ladies we featured, it was her idea. She when we were interviewing her for her profile, she said we should do Trainder, where we take over the last car. We all know what is said about the last car of a BART train, right?
I am aware.
So she said, let's
Should we say it?
Or let people
Yeah.
Google it.
Right.
It's up to you.
I mean, wild things sometimes have happened in the
Yeah.
last car
Yeah.
of BART. The last
Some
car of the
moments.
train. She's like, you should call it Trainder. And someone had brought that up in our little round table. And I was like, I don't know if we want to lean that far.
Yeah.
Like, but wait, speed dating. And that got
But wait.
right. But wait. We could do this speed dating style and have a little bit more positive spin, like Valentrain instead of Trainder. And
A little less
Valentine's
creepy.
Day,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day was coming up.
Yeah.
I think we thought of this idea in January, so that it was coming up that fast. I looked on the calendar, and Valentine's Day was a Friday that year. I'm like, this is so perfect. Let's
Perfect.
do it.
Yeah.
And I knew people wanted, people were riding the train just to ride.
Yeah.
And I know that because I spend a lot of time getting to know our riders. I am on the system all the time. I'm also on the Discord. Did you know that Bay Area Transit has a Discord server?
Wow.
I know
And
that because of you.
Yes, and it's filled with transit enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And I've met them. I'll be on a train and I'll see a group of young people. And sometimes they fangirl me, and so like they come in and
It's me.
introduce
I'm the
themselves.
fangirl in
Yeah.
this
Well,
case.
we're
Yeah.
all
But
we're all
sometimes
them.
I approach them because I'm like, I've seen you on the train before, and then I find out these are usually teenagers. They don't know each other, but they all want to meet up on BART to spend the day doing something safe. Their parents let them. It passes the time away.
It's literally third
want to
space.
make
Yeah.
friends, right? And so I knew people were doing this, that they were coming onto BART just to be on BART. And I was like, we need to just tell other people that this is a thing and get them to do it. So
And that it's encouraged.
and it's that it's encouraged. So Valentrain, which was the viral success, which we knew, like we kind of knew, like
Right.
the moment we dropped
how
that
cute is
on
this gonna
social, you kind of sit back and you're like,
Yeah.
I just can't wait.
Yeah,
I
just
know.
let
Like,
it come
just let
in.
it- yeah.
I want to contextualize this a bit. So, for folks who are in the Bay Area, we know that like BART and several other transit agencies right now are going to be going back to, Alicia, you mentioned voters, to ask for more funding to keep BART and other transit agencies running. I also know, and as a personal rider, I feel quite safe, but I am a able-bodied man, etc. But there are some real and perceived concerns about safety, about, you mentioned cleanliness, about the quality of the trains, which are new and I think quite beautiful. But I want to contextualize your program against the broader discussion many transit agencies, but specifically BART, is having about getting people to invest in the system more. Can you help us wrestle with probably the other folks in this building thinking, maybe is this where we should be spending our time versus something else?
So what's next for transit programming in the Bay Area?
BART isn't experimenting with events like this in a vacuum. Transit agencies everywhere are facing big questions about safety, cleanliness, reliability, and declining ridership after the pandemic. So when people hear about anime festivals, speed dating, or comedy shows on a train, some might wonder, is this really what transit should be focused on right now?
So I strongly feel that in order for BART to survive post-pandemic, we have to rebrand in a way that shows we're not just for a 9-to-5 commute.
In the next chapter, Alicia argues that the future of transit won't be won by infrastructure alone. It's about making public transportation feel alive again. Then we hop aboard BART's sold-out comedy train to experience it for ourselves.